Welcome back to the Merce Performance YouTube channel. On today's episode we got the LS mounted into the Cortina. We cut out the firewall to make some clearance and we do finish off the sump clearancing for the cross member. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing. I do really appreciate it. Now that work I've gotten on top of a lot of my customer work, so I do plan on going like full time on this build until it's done now. So stay tuned for more uploads. In the next episode I plan on getting this turbo kit knocked out and a few other goodies that we got planned. So yeah, subscribe for more.
Safety plus here.
Safety first. You're on the safety glasses on your head.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, it's caught a leak on fire.
Bit of fuel mixed with some weld.
Oh, I need the grinder.
No, before the bottom bit. Hey, what I hope none of that. Fucking imagine if the whole car went up in flames because it went down the fuel line.
Did you fuck with the settings or something?
I haven't touched you. Closing the holes. Put your head there.
Then I'll just cut that out.
Yeah, we'll
Then I'll
mark
just
that
tap
up.
that back into there,
Yeah,
like we've done on here.
yeah.
See that? Alright, so we've cut out the firewall, made a bit of room here, like I said in the last video. Just put a little curve in there for the, hopefully put the dump pipe in there. And we just made some room so we got room to work on it. Nah. Come up pretty good for a couple of hours work. Once we buzz all the welds back, put a bit of seam seal and a little bit of bog and put this Raptor stuff on it, it'll look mint. Won't even know it was there. So I think I've had a bit of a change of plans just to save time. Like I could cut this mount, move this over so it's all matches up straight here, but what I'm thinking is I'm just going to cut this off and get a piece of roll cage tube or tubing or whatever and just put the tube from there to there, but I'll probably just put on a little bit of an angle just to match up to that, and then I'll just put a couple of gussets in it. I think that's going to be the quickest and easiest way to get this done and still work really well. I could be super strong. Like I could cut these off, move them along, like, and put a straight bar in there, which would be better, but it's more of a time thing. Like it'll take probably an extra hour in that by the time I cut them off, grind it all up, mount them in the right spot, re-weld them, get it powder coated again. All for the sake of not having a tube on the angle, it's going to get gusseted anyway. I think it'll be fine. This is what I ended up with. So I just got a bit of roll cage tube, cut it, welded it to this. I've just got it tacked together now. But same on this side. So the plan now is to that it's going to work. I've got to pull them back out so I can weld this out, just so it's easier out of the car. And then I'll put the engine back in. It's sitting where it needs to be. I've got it marked. And then I'll weld these. And then I plan on triangulating this with a little gusset or another little tube notched. Should be plenty strong. Alright, so engine mounts are in. Now the engine's mounted and bolted, I thought I'd just go ahead and see if this power glide's going to fit in the trans tunnel, which we thought it wasn't going to the other day when we first mocked it up, but now I've cut that sump some more and moved the engine forward and down. It's going to fit without cutting the tunnel. We obviously cut it up a bit at the Firewall, but yeah, pretty happy with that. I was more concerned about getting the engine mounted. In the right spot, and then dealing with the transmission later. Like if we had to cut the tunnel out and make a new one, then so be it. I'd rather have the engine in the right spot and make it easy to work on and that than have the trans in the right spot and then trying to mount the engine around that. So yeah, pretty happy with that. I've got to fill in this sump gap and that now, which is pretty straightforward. I was thinking I might cut a little relief where the steering rack goes, because it's only got like maybe 2 or 3 mil clearance, but I'll just give it a little trim out and happy days. I'll just pull this engine out so I can finish welding out these mounts. So this is what we ended up with. We got the tube welded to the factory cross member. I put a couple of little gussets in there and just welded these mounts to the tube. Then I just MIG welded in that factory gusset. I had to trim that back a bit to get this tube to fit flush. Got both sides done. Just chucked a little bit of black on there. Make it look good. Moving forward, Ryan's going to come out and just whiz back these welds and chuck some seam sealer on where we notched some clearance for dump pipe and the cylinder heads and stuff. Then I just got to make the transmission cross member. Just push the car out and Ryan's just whizzing back these welds. And then we're just going to chuck a little bit of bog on just to neaten it up. And then we'll paint it all in this this Raptor liner in the brown again. Got this Firewall cleaned up and in a bit of primer. Just going to put this Raptor coat over it and then paint it brown again. plan is to just cut these mounts and then flip that up so I can, and then re-weld it on so I can pick up that bolt hole there, because I've flipped these mounts upside down. Now we can flip that over. I'll bolt it up to the engine, make sure the mounting points fit, tack it, weld it out. Just got to grind all this powder coating that off. Got that welded out, come out alright. Let that cool down, I'll just chuck a couple little welds on them ends and grind it smooth, and happy days. Alright, now I've picked up the 3 mount points, so it's the same as the other side now. This side I got lucky because there's, on the block there's a top and bottom mount, so I don't have to do this side. So I can bolt on this side, and then yeah, that worked out well. So I got the sump all cleaned up, just going to cut some 3mm plate out now and fold it up to suit this, and then I'll weld it all in. And I've got a -10 fitting I'm going to weld in somewhere around here for the turbo oil drain.
Progress, mate, progress.
Making some progress on this sump now. I'm welding it inside and out. I decided to just do it in sections rather than folding it. It's just a little bit easier. A little bit more welding, but a bit easier to, the way that we had to cut it isn't quite square, so it's just easier to do it this way. It's coming out nice. The cast is pretty dirty, so welding to it isn't the nicest, but we're getting it done. Sump's all done. Welded the inside and the out. It was a bit of a mission welding the inside down here. It was just so dirty, but I got it done. Had a bit of a blowout here. I just put an extra few tacks over it to fill any little pinholes. But I welded it inside and out just because it is cast. That sometimes you get a few pinholes, so I thought it'll lessen the chances of leaking if I weld it inside and out. I think it'll be okay. Any spots that I've seen that sort of had a pinhole, I just put an extra tack on top just to be sure, but it come out pretty good. I think it'll still have plenty of oil capacity for the setup, and if it doesn't, then we'll solve those problems if they arise. We just want to get it in the car, so yeah, it come out pretty good. Alright, so I've got our mock-up LS engine on the crane here. We're going to use this engine to fab up the turbo kit and stuff, because we've got this engine here that's actually going in the car. It needs to be rebuilt. So just to save time while that's at the machine shop and while I build it, we'll have this in the car fabbing up the rest of the stuff. So I'm just going to fit up the sump that I made, put the engine mounts on, and then put that in the car. I'll put the exhaust manifolds on, and that'll sort of wrap up this episode, and then in the next episode we'll film fabbing up the turbo kit. So I've just realised we were going to try and leave the alternator in the factory Commodore location, but we've just realised that's not going to work because the way this cross member goes, it hits, so I'll have to pull this out to get the engine in. You might have to put the alternator up the top somewhere. Thanks for watching this episode. So in this episode we've got all the engine mounts in and welded. We've got the sump all notched and filled all those voids in. And we've got the firewall notched and filled all that in, and just Ryan's just come and cleaned up all those welds and put a bit of primer on it. So in the next episode we're going to use these factory style manifolds and run them in reverse, make the crossover pipe and get this turbo mounted, and then we'll work on intercooler pipes, dump pipe, and I'll probably finish off mounting the power glide. So I've got the transmission for the car. It does fit in the tunnel after a little bit of notching. I just got to weld in the transmission mount, and then that'll be pretty much it. So stay tuned for the next episode where we do the turbo kit and the transmission. So if you enjoyed this episode, I'd appreciate if you considered subscribing and liking the video, or leave a comment, and also consider following our other socials. So we've got Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and the YouTube. I think that's everything. Yeah. So follow along. Thanks for watching.